What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Marvel Rivals tier list. I decided to make my own tier list videos. The game's been out for about like a week. Um, there's been like a lot of people making tier list videos, and it's very interesting seeing where some of these characters got placed. After playing the game extensively for some time now, I think I have a full understanding of every single character inside the game. Um, and in my opinion, from top levels of play to even like mid tiers levels of play or low tier, however you want to say. I don't want to call people bad, but like even at the lowest point of play, we'll say. I do think some of these characters shine and thrive. But this tier list video is just going to pretty much break down my thoughts and opinions on where the characters lie. This video is not to say that any character in particular is really bad. Like there are some bad characters, and we'll get to that when we get there. But for the most part, in my opinion, I think all these characters are actually phenomenal and great. Just because a character may not be S tier, right, does not mean that character will not thrive inside like a pro league setting, right? And before we jump into that and you start typing in the comment section saying that makes no sense, let me just say, me and my buddies were talking about some things too, and a lot of these characters play out differently when they have team up abilities. So, the tier list video may change based on team comps, right? But we're talking about characters as an individual, right? This tier list video isn't breaking down characters with pair ups, right? And I think that's why when you look at the different tier list videos out there, everyone has different opinions on things because we're taking into account so many other different elements, right? So ignoring team up abilities and just looking at the character as by themselves, as the whole, right? By themselves. Where these characters lie? Um, I have a broken tier. I have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. Broken tier just means pretty much like anyone even with zero brain cells can play this character, and that character will pretty much thrive, right? That's what the broken tier stands for. Other than that, S tier, pretty much top of the line gameplay. You know, if you can play this character to their full potential, that character will thrive and shine bright, right? This is usually reserved for like the top players. Not every single character has to be played by the top players, but you know, again, you will see them more likely than not inside high elo as you go up, right? A tier is essentially just like A tier is good. They're good. Not like the best picks. You can still make them work even at high levels of play, but they're just not gonna be the definitive yeah, hands down this character over that character kind of thing. You know what I mean? And then B tier is just pretty much just like the character's kind of mid. They're not horrible, they're playable, they're doable, and they're good when they're good, but other than that, like maybe they're too situational in some aspects and maybe not, right? Um and then C tier is just whether or not you consider them fun, you may consider them fun, maybe they're just they're just lacking, right? Like entry level, they're probably like okay, good, but it's C tier is a weird tier, right? It's like you're a bad character, and very rarely will you ever really do good. You're just not really going to do anything. And then D tier is just absolutely terrible. Like no one should ever realistically play you until you get buffed. That's just my opinion on things. Um, Like maybe you might need a little bit more inside your kit. Maybe you might rely on certain team up abilities or something like that. But by yourself, you're kind of just bad, right? So that's that's the way we're gonna grade the tier list. So keep that in mind when we go through everything on my list. Um, I guess the first character we're starting off with is Iron Fist. Iron Fist, I'm gonna put in broken tier. Now, before you start yelling at me and say like, this guy's stupid, hear me out. If you think Magic, for example, is an S tier character, an S tier pick, Magic and Iron Fist do the exact same thing. They play the exact same way, except for the fact that Magic has to hit you in order to get health, whereas Iron Fist, on the other hand, doesn't have to hit you to get health. He has to be hit in order to get health, and while he's being hit, he's channeling up chi to do more attacks. If you look at their damage numbers considerably, you would think Magic out DPS's Iron Fist. Mind you, Magic is getting a seasonal buff of 20%, and she barely just out DPSs him, but not really, right? Her one hit from magic is like 65, like 65 damage according to the main page, whereas Iron Fist damage is like 32 a hit. 32 a hit within like zero point 0.4 seconds or something like that. So he can hit her twice before she can swing once. So their damage numbers are relatively close, right? Then on top of their damage numbers being relatively close, that's not considering his chi hit. His chi punches on top of his base punches do even more damage than that of magic. So he hits harder than magic and he hits faster than magic. Keep that in mind. He also has auto lock. So if you think magic is an S tier character but don't consider Iron Fist an S tier character, I don't know what to tell you. In my opinion, he's broken. He just has a lot going on for himself that other melees just don't have. I'm not gonna sit on him for too long, but that's just my explanation for why I consider him broken. This isn't to say he's gonna just go and solo every high lobby, right? It's just the way his kit plays out. He's kind of broken in that aspect, right? Uh, Moving on though. Moon Knight. Moon Knight is another character I'm just gonna throw straight in the broken tier. This character is broken. This character shines in all levels of play, whether it be low elo, mid elo, high elo, and I will assume Pro League. I will assume Pro League when Pro League comes out, right? And that's just because of the way his onks work. Now, this character, believe it or not, does more damage than Hela. Hela does 70 damage. He does 75 damage. Believe it or not, yes, this dude does 75 damage base. So he's beating pretty much every other DPS by 5 ticks. The only person other than Moon Knight that has higher body damage is Hawkeye. Hawkeye's body damage is 80. So just off body shots alone, you're getting hit by an aimbot Hawkeye. Think about that logically for a second. A fully charged arrow from Hawkeye is 80 damage. 80 damage fully charged. Moon Knight only has to hit you with one burst, 75 damage. That is way too close in numbers. And again, he doesn't actually aim. This character's just broken. It doesn't matter. If you want to climb elo, use Moon Knight. Moving on to the next character, we got Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, I'm putting S tier. Winter Soldier is a phenomenal character in my opinion. He has crazy damage on him. His ultimate is really busted. He can keep spamming it over and over and over again. So he in that one niche scenario where it's like, sorry if you hear me freaking choking over here. I'm a little stuffy, kind of hot in my house and stuff, but whatever. Getting back on point. Winter Soldier is S tier because they like you're on point, you're OT. This dude just keeps spamming his ult nonstop. But again, his base damage is absolutely insane. He can shred tanks, he can shred squishies. He's just really solid, especially if you can consistently hit your shots. He doesn't need to lead as much as people think he does. So he's not necessarily a hit scan, but he kind of plays like one still, nonetheless, especially if you're in range, he kind of hits like a hit scan. He has a really fast, high projectile bullet, so it's really nice. Moving next, we got Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger, in my opinion, is S tier. I don't think she's the craziest healer inside the game, but I do still think she's still good. She has a lot of utility that I think people sleep on when you look at Cloak and Dagger. And her heals, she can heal more than one target at once. So if you are grouped up and say there isn't a Moon Knight destroying you, right? She's healing multiple targets at once on the field, which is great. Her heals create an aura that bounces and hit other teammates as part of her passive. So there's a lot of healing happening there. Then she can amplify how much heal she gives to each person. She hits them with the light shield. Her ultimate does 220 heals a second. And then her immortality field is also really great. So if you actually work very well with Cloak and Dagger, she can actually make you guys completely immune to damage, even negating Jeff's ult, which is kind of crazy, right? So if you play grouped up on top of each other, like how she would ideally want you to be, she shines bright. She's really good. So Dagger's really, 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 really crazy. And then Cloak, obviously, he just does so much damage. He has a lot of damage in his kit. So with how much damage he does, pick to you for free, it's kind of hard really contesting him. And that's why I put him in S tier, right? I don't think they're the craziest healers in the game, I'll admit, but they are S tier and can be utilized at the highest level of play perfectly fine within um I don't want to say specific parameters. They just work great. They just work very well, right? If you're someone who's a cloak and dagger main, you can thrive. Next is Strange. Strange, in my opinion, I have Strange at S tier. And the reason why I have Strange at S tier is because of Strange's team comp and how big brain Strange really is, right? His portals right now are kind of really broken. And if you're a really high IQ player and you can make some crazy plays with Strange, that just really carries the team. His portal does take like a long time to come back off cooldown, but that's a balancing act, and it's a balancing act I'm totally fine with, right? The portal nonetheless is a clutch moment. It helps create helps him get out of bad situations. Like say like your team is on OT, right? We're gonna use OT as a great example, and they're having a hard time hurry up and rushing back to point. If Strange can just take a little second out real quick to quickly put a portal down and stuff like that to his group, I know people might be saying that's crazy. You're overthinking it. That doesn't happen. It does happen, believe it or not. If it does, it works great for his team to just keep diving back in, right? Especially if you don't have someone doing revives. Also, there's all other kinds of portal strats that Strange can do, like pairing it up with Wanda. But again, we're not talking about pair ups. It's just Strange can do great things with his team. He's absolutely phenomenal, and his shield is a good shield to help his team push forward. Next is Hela. No explanation needed. She's S tier, but I'll quickly run through her real quick. Now, a lot of people think she's OP. She's not overpowered. She just serves a niche that another character can't right now, and that's Black Widow. She essentially does everything Black Widow wants to do, but better. And then on top of that being better, her ultimate is again just Black Widow's ult. And you really want hit scans to deal with characters like Iron Man, because if we didn't have good hit scans inside this game, Iron Man would be probably like one of the more broken characters in the game, right? So having characters like Hela is really needed. I don't think she's overpowered. I think she's just really good, and she just helps really keep the team in check, right? She just really helps the team out when it comes to getting those annoying picks that we desperately need gone. She's there. Um, and then she also has good like get out of jail free cards. Like her Huron is really nice when it comes to repositioning, so she's not just like hunkered down and getting slammed because she does have a kind of big hitbox. Next, Hawkeye. Dude, I want to put Hawkeye in broken tier, honestly. Um, I was gonna say S tier, but nah, I think I'm gonna put Hawkeye in broken tier as I got a lot of Hawkeye gameplay. The only thing about Hawkeye is I will admit there are some bad Hawkeyes out there that just like really suck, but like overall though, like once you understand him just a little bit more, I think anyone with just like 3 brain cells could use Hawkeye, right? If you have 0 brain cells, you might kind of have a hard time, but with at least just three, it's pretty good. You don't need a lot to make Hawkeye really really shine. Um, Hawkeye can carry in low elo, mid elo, high elo, and again, if no one's doing anything about this man, like absolutely nothing, it's hard. And then even if you do try to dive a Hawkeye, if you're a really good Hawkeye, it doesn't matter who's diving you, right? You need a whole team to dive Hawkeye at once, or just Hawkeye diff him. So you need a Hawkeye to beat a Hawkeye. Put it like that, right? Next is Groot. Groot, I have Groot in S tier. Groot, I was nervous at first to put Groot in S tier, and don't worry if you're this far into the video. Not every single character I promise you is going to be S tier. You are going to see the other characters in different brackets. It's just how everything's organized right now. Um, Groot I think is S tier because his walls are really nice, and to force teams into certain choke points and funnel them is really nice. For your team. Overall, again, no team ups needed or anything like that. This dude has a lot of damage packed into his kit, and then he can team up with other people. And what I mean by team up, I mean like synergize his ult. So combo ulting is pretty nice. The group up is really good, and even if he's not grouping people up, you just group him up with his ult. You throw down his little group bomb or whatever, and you just punch people to death, and everyone's just dying, right? So it's just really nice. So Groot's really great at what he does. I'm gonna throw him in S tier. I've seen Groot go crazy. If you're a crazy Groot main out there, you can definitely carry your team, and we all love and appreciate you, right? Um, but in terms of like, Groot can stomp. It just depends on who's playing Groot. That's all. Groot takes a little bit more thinking power. That's all. But he pops off. Luna. Ooh, Luna, my baby girl. S tier. Don't really need to say much about her. If you guys don't know, her damage boost is insane. Her heal is insane. She's a hit scan target. Um, and her damage is ridiculous. She does like 60 damage. She does 60 damage for a hit scan. She has a lot of range on her too, so her range actually is pretty good when it comes to fighting people. So she pumps out a lot of damage. She pumps out a lot of heals. She also damage boosts her teammates. She can heal more than one target at once. She's great. That's all I need to say about her. Magneto. Actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna. We're gonna bounce around a bit because I think I see what's happening here. It's showing all my S tiers off rip. We're gonna move some characters around so you guys aren't just like, what the hell's going on here, right? I know you guys are probably questioning my S tier list right now. You guys are like, what the hell? So many S tiers. We're gonna go to my next character, Adam Warlock. We're gonna go here. Adam Warlock, in my opinion, is A tier. I think Adam Warlock is great. Everything about Adam Warlock is sensational, but the thing about Warlock is that it serves a niche, right? Or I shouldn't say a niche. He has he's a situational character, right? So say like his ultimate, for example, people love the fact this ultimate can revive an entire team, which is great. That you definitely want that. That's absolutely amazing. It's a very powerful ultimate to bring your whole team back from the dead, even if you are only bringing them back to half health. However, his healing though, his heal is his E ability or on control. I think it's like right bumper or something like that. Um, and it's a good heal. Don't get me wrong. It's a really solid heal. He has two charges, however. And those two charges is like if you spam both of them instantly, if your team are taking a lot of damage, you use both of them, you're on cooldown and you don't have any healing anymore. Now you just have damage, right? So he's not pumping out crazy amounts of heals instantly, like consistently throughout the fight. He does have Soulbound, which does give your team damage negation, which is really strong. So you would probably think he would be S tier. But if your team gets died and stuff like that, or if you're lacking heals and you really need heals, especially with how crazy damage gets higher up, he's kind of missing that. And then another scenario, let's say even if you are thriving as a team, right? If no one's dying inside of a fight, his ult isn't really being utilized. And if only one person gets picked off, I mean, you could argue characters like Rocket could just bring him back. Or if you have like Hela, and again, we're talking about team up abilities, not really trying to talk about too much, but like Hela can also bring someone back from the dead too. Well, she can bring back Thor or Loki back from the dead with a team up. So it's just, it's one of those weird kind of scenarios where it's like, I think within his within certain circumstances, this dude's an S tier, but because of how he is, A tier. I'm ranting. I'm sorry. We'll move on. Next character. Let's talk about Namor. Namor's interesting for me. He has a lot of damage, and I think Namor is. I don't want to say he's good. He's probably good in like low bracket, but like I never ever struggle with Namor, and I don't really see a lot of Namors. He doesn't have damage fall off. So there's that. He does the same amount of damage as Hela, believe it or not. But because he doesn't have damage fall off, he does more damage than she does. But it's just harder to consistently do that. So because of his ease, he's not S tier. He's kind of like his. I would say like a Namor at his peak is probably B tier. But I'm gonna throw him in C tier because I might come out as the biggest Namor hater ever, but his ultimate, in my opinion, sucks. Ultimate's very easy to dodge, super easy to dodge. I've never seen anyone really get hit by it. Um, his turrets are instantly taken out, and they don't really get placed anywhere. It's not like Loki where he could just like look around and freely navigate them, like to where he wants them to spawn. He just throws them right in front of him, so they're kind of not really there. You know, they're gone just as fast. And then, although he hits hard, yes, Hela hits just as hard, and she's hit scan. He's projectile. So it's kind of like he doesn't really shine. He gets destroyed pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So for me, he's C tier. I don't want to say he's D tier, like he's trash. Like you can make him work, and I'm sure like there's people who can probably pop off on him for a little bit, and when he's popping off, he feels good, but it's probably not as consistent as you probably think he is. So I have him in C tier. Uh, Next character on the list that I kind of want to look at. I'm gonna say Jeff. We'll talk. Jeff, Jeff, in my opinion, is about like an A tier pick. You know, some people probably think an initially S tier. Hell no. I'm gonna say hell no. In my opinion, I think Jeff is a B tier, but I'm gonna send him an A tier at peak. So if you're a peak player, I'll say he's A tier. He's peaking. Other than that, the average player, I'll say Jeff's around B tier. Average player, stuff like that. Even in like mid elo to slight high elo, Jeff's probably gonna be hovering around B tier. Um, with like an exceptional Jeff being A tier within certain circumstances, like maybe some maps and stuff like that. Jeff is gonna be that A tier pick that you want. But on average, I'm gonna say he's chilling around B. And that's mainly because Jeff's heals are okay. They're not like horrible heals, but they're compared to the other healers, he's just significantly being out healed. I'm definitely picking Luna over Jeff any day. I'm definitely picking Mantis over Jeff any day, and I'll definitely take a dagger over Jeff any day. Jeff's ult is nice, but again, like it's kind of like, bro, if you're not killing him, I don't really care. And if your whole kit is to just jump off the map, and if you can take 4 people out with you, I mean that's huge. But again, that's only in certain situations and circumstances. So if within exclude that from the fact, he's not that good of a character. Other than that, he's just really annoying. That's what makes Jeff feel good, is the fact that he's annoying. Moving on, the next character I'm gonna throw up here is Venom. Venom's A tier. That's gonna throw a lot of people off. I would say Venom was S tier, but he's A. And the reason why Venom's A tier is because characters like Mantis and Luna shut down Venom's whole playstyle and make him absolutely like he can't do anything. He can't do anything. He's completely locked out of his whole playstyle, right? So Venom seems really overpowered to like a lot of people because of the fact that he can dive the backline and constantly get in, get out. He has so much sustainability. You hear it all the time. But Venom doesn't really have a lot of damage in his kit because go figure, he's a tank. And his whole kit is built to just pretty much be a nuisance, dive, and scatter teams, right? But that gets countered by her freeze. She freezes Venom for 2.7 seconds, right? Or 2.2 seconds, assuming that, you're actually damaging him. And that's almost long enough for his shield to completely evaporate and also just slow him down for the team to just DPS him. Mantis, if Mantis sleeps him, he slept for 3.5 seconds, right? That's insane. So for 3.5 seconds, this dude is just sleeping in the back line, doing absolutely nothing. And then he's just going to get wiped again once his shield completely fades. So that whole playstyle that people depend on, where they dive in, they wait till they get low, pop their over shield, and then think they're going to get out. Yeah, that's not going to work anymore in high play. That only works in low elo, especially when you have Mantises and Lunas that just want to instantly CC you. That doesn't happen anymore. The higher up you go, we bait that out. So his playstyle is now dropped. He's no longer a menace anymore. He's now nothing. He's doing nothing for his team anymore. He's just there, you know? So if Mantis and Luna aren't on field, if they're not in play, he's S tier. But when they're in play, at most I'll give you A tier. I'll give you A tier at most. Like in reality, when they're in play, he drops down to D tier. When Mantis and Luna are in play. But A tier overall as a tank. Next, Magneto. Magneto, I'm throwing S tier. He's great. Magneto's shields is sensational. He's good at keeping himself alive as well as keeping his other teammate alive. If you have dive comps, he's really good at supporting dive. This isn't talking about team up abilities. This is just talking about like what he can do for his team and how his kit works, right? So he's really good in that sense. He does a great job at pushing people together. If teams are grouped up, his ult can kill them. He pretty much absorbs all the damage they're all dishing out in that radius and then throws it all back at them at once. So that's pretty nice. I personally never died to a Magneto ult, but that doesn't mean it's not good. There are situations in which his ult can shine. So just throwing that out there. But I definitely think he's S tier, especially if you pair him up with Strange. The double shield combo thing going on is kind of wild. Or if you want to play him with Hulk, Moving on, speaking of Hulk, Hulk is an iffy one for me. I want to throw Hulk S tier, but I decided to stick Hulk in A tier because I don't ever struggle against Hulk at all when fighting Hulks. Hulks, for me, they play similar to like they're like a weird hybrid between Venom and Thor. At least that's how every Hulk I've come across. They all just want to try to dive and then just brawl me out. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but you're such a fat target, obviously, and your range of motion is so limited compared to how much distance I can get between us and how fast I can shred you. You know, like I shred Hulks and I shred Venoms to the point where it's like I don't ever see them as threats, even when I'm playing. So it's like I still think he's A tier because Hulks do pop off. They do. There are Hulks that go crazy. It's just I feel like he's not S tier because of the other tanks and how well they play with their team. Like when Hulk pops off, he pops off. It's kind of like a magic scenario, right? Like if you put him in the right pieces, like they pop off. So that's why, in my opinion, I think he's kind of more of a situational kind of tank. He creates certain situations, or if he can get in those situations during a team fight, he's good. But like outside those situations in a team fight, if he's just trying to solo you, he's kind of not good. So there's that. Um, moving on, let's talk about Loki. Loki's definitely S tier. I would say S tier to broken. Honestly, I would probably put Loki in the broken tier. But the whole kit about broken is just you need a brain. So Loki's S tier. Loki's really strong in the hands of a smart player. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't understand how Loki kit work, Loki may to you feel like a D tier character, but he has massive heals. On top of his massive heals, he has like these practical immortality fields he throws down every 20 seconds that him and his clones, mind you, can throw down. He does insane amounts of damage to you, especially if you're being shot by his clones. And then the ability to just like gather anyone's ult, teammate, or enemy is insane. Loki can create situations that other characters can't, right? So certain situations that you may look for that make these characters seem situational, he can create. He can make these situations for them possible or impossible. So Loki is a great, phenomenal character to have, and he really lives up to his name as Trickster. But moving on, I am yapping. Keep saying this over again. I'm gonna try to speed it up a bit because this video is getting dragged out. Next character, Mantis. Uh, you know what? We'll stop at Mantis and we'll start looking at the other characters that I know that I won't put S tier. Mantis S tier. Amazing heals, great damage buff over time. She has no damage fall off whatsoever, so she's very consistent in what she does and just pumps out like crazy. So if you're looking for a strong character, Mantis is very powerful for support. She also has a CC again that negates a lot of these characters and cancels out a lot of ults. Next on our list, we're gonna go with Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, in my opinion, I'm gonna throw her in C tier. She only feels strong because she doesn't aim. Her ult's very lackluster. She has nothing to protect her whatsoever when she's ulting. So she just dies a lot. Like you won't really see her at all in high play. She dies instantly. Worst case scenario, she's D tier. But she doesn't do anything. I know she seems overpowered in low bracket because she's just unfair to people who can't aim because she doesn't need to aim. But once you get your aiming down, you will slam a Scarlet Witch, right? Like she poses no threats whatsoever to anyone. Moving on, let's grab Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl, in my opinion, is A tier. I think she's a sensational character. I think she's great. The only thing holding her back is her ult. Squirrel Stampede just is too inconsistent or too unpredictable and doesn't do the crazy amount of damage for how unpredictable it is. But the rest of her kit's amazing. She has 2 stuns on her right off rip, and then her actual acorn damage is just way too good to ignore and say that she's anything lower than A tier, right? She would basically be S tier if it wasn't for her bad ult, in my opinion. But her ult is just so bad that you only play her just for the acorns and the stuns. So A tier. Next, Star-Lord. Star-Lord's interesting for me. I put Star-Lord in a B tier scenario. He plays more like a dive. He wants to dive a lot of times and, you know, pick off people in 1v1s or squishy scenarios. He can kind of get in the middle and clean up more of a team fight. You can kind of play him all over the place. His ult is pretty nice, but he's easily dealt with in a lot of scenarios, and his damage fall off is kind of insane. So him shredding doesn't really feel good unless he's like really up with his team. He can carry up to about like mid rank, and then after that he starts falling off. So about mid elo, I'll say he's around like a B tier. Anything, I'll put him B tier. He's definitely above Scarlet Witch in my opinion. I think he's also a better pick than I would. Some people might say Namor. Really, you think he's better than Namor? And if you think Namor deserves to be higher up, like over Star Lord, I'll be fine with that too. Like if you want to say they're on the same tier, playing field at minimum, that's cool. I'm gonna put Namor over, understandable. I just think Namor is only thing about him literally is just his damage, right? But other than that, it's like Star Lord. I feel like can play more with his team. His ultimate, it does help him out a little bit, give him that edge over Namor, and that's why I want to put Star Lord over. But I digress. I'll let you guys decide that in the comment section, which one you think is better, Namor or Star Lord. Um, Next, Captain America. Cap. I know people question Cap and say Cap's like bad, but like in my opinion, Cap, if you play Cap well, really good, Cap's good. Cap is good. Cap is about, I would say he's A tier. Reflects damage back at the enemy team. Um, he has great mobility. He has good sustainability. His damage in terms of brawling, if he does get close enough to brawl people, he actually hurts. He hurts, so he can fight other tanks, right, and keep that front line going. So that's why Cap, in my opinion, is an A tier pick. I don't think Cap is as bad as people really try to make him seem. I think there's just a lot of bad Captain Americas out there, and people don't understand his kit. Now, ignoring his team up ability though, again, he can box some stuff up. He can also really put some pressure on some of those characters that you want to get dealt with. So Cap is an A tier pick in my opinion. Especially if you're going two tanks, at least A tier. I wouldn't make him S tier, but I also wouldn't make him B tier. Like, all right, if we're saying single tank, fine, B tier. You're going one Captain America, right? Like no other tank, just one tank, Cap. But if you have two tanks, I'm saying he's an A tier pick. Next on our list, let's go to Rocket, man. Rocket's kind of crazy. His damage is nothing crazy, but his heals is really nice. He has good heal sustainability. He can keep his team alive, which is very important. But his revive is every 40 seconds. So as long as he throw down his beacon, he can revive someone on his team. And I think that's really huge because it keeps you constantly inside the fight while also giving you armor packs. And then he gives you a nice damage boost. Again, ignoring his team up abilities. His team up abilities make him even crazier. But Rocket does have that, like, have a lot in his kit that just really helps his team. So it's like, I don't think he's anywhere near S tier at all. But he does really thrive in certain circumstances, right? Being like, if you are pairing him up with people, if you're in a situation where, maybe someone dives too far and they get picked off and, he's like that second healer on your team, like he is really good in high pick. Like I should say high pick, but he's just good overall no matter where you do. Like he's not trash like people think he is. He's very nimble. He can definitely get around on points a lot and stall out matches. So he's good. A tier. Nothing really needs to be said about Rocket in that sense. Our next character on the list, Widow. D tier. Straight trash. And I hate saying that because I really wanted Black Widow to be amazing. I wanted to be a sniper in this game, but Widow she just sucks. I really feel like she needs a buff / rework to her kit. I would say get rid of her 2 melee weapons and give her like an SMG or a pistol of some kind or something like that. But anyways, her biggest issue is the fact that although she's hit scan, she does no damage. She does not one-shot headshot no matter what unless you damage amp her. And that's kind of silly that she has to rely on a damage boost in order to one-shot headshot when characters like Hawkeye can just do that. If you're going to 2-shot headshot people anyways, you're better off just playing Hella. You know what I mean? Um, or Winter Soldier. He's not hit scan, but Hela is. And this is why Hela is so good, because she serves the niche that she's trying to fill. Right? Her damage fall off is kind of sad too. Like, you're a sniper, but you have damage fall off. Um, her ultimate doesn't really kill it, and it's a little mini plasma nuke that's very easily avoided. And it does apply slow to enemies, but it's just not good. It's a really bad ult. This character is just really bad. You don't see Black Widow at all. She needs some love done to her. Big. Uh, next character, Magic. Magic, in my opinion, I'm gonna say B tier. I'm gonna say Magic is a B tier pick. And I know some people are like, what? That's crazy. There's people who pop off of Magic in high rank, and it's like very rarely does that ever happen. And I think another issue with comp right now is that, from my understanding, we can play with any rank and bracket. I've seen some wide rank spreads, and it is kind of ridiculous, right? So I think the only way you see Magic's being played high up is because of the fact that we sometimes maybe get easier lobbies, whatnot. But it's just, she's Magic is good and she's hella fun. I love Magic. I don't want Magic to be B tier, but you got to remember her one-shot combo is only possible right now because she has a season buff in which she has increased damage. Once that's gone, that will no longer be possible. In terms of melee, even though she's considered the hardest hitting character in the game, she's also the slowest hitting character in the game. A lot of these other characters, their damage numbers are so close to hers, and they swing faster, right? In terms of melee or pumping out. Magic can get one tapped by Hawkeye, so she has no damage reduction there. She's just dead regardless of what she does. She has to hit you in order to heal, and she heavily relies on her team to actually push up in the fight in order to do something. She can be really annoying when she's going crazy and getting supported, but like, she really can't do a whole lot, you know? And that's where Magic kind of like falls off in my opinion. She really just needs her team to really stack on top of her, and it's just like, by this point, I don't know. But she's fun. She's fun. If you want to throw her A tier, I'm totally fine with that. I love Magic. I would say within certain standards, she's A tier. But because of how much she has to heavily rely on a lot of other supports and stuff like that, and how Iron Fist can pretty much do what she wants to do, but better, right? It's like, I don't know. Because once she loses that damage buff too, she's kind of going to fall off even. I, Let me know what you think about that. I personally love Magic. I'm sorry for the Magic slander. I think she's fun and amazing. I want to throw her S tier out of just sheer biasness, but I don't really see Magic a lot like that. I don't really have issues dealing with Magics, and yeah, she's not as crazy as people initially thought. I think people are starting to see that the more that the game gets played out. Um, Next on my list, Iron Man. Iron Man is an iffy one for me. A part of me was like S tier for Iron Man because of his kit. Like, his ultimate can nuke Mantis and Luna out of their ults, believe it or not. So a good Iron Man could kill all of them. He has a lot of damage inside his utility, but he's also kind of easy to deal with after a while. Like, if you aren't a good positioning Iron Man, I would say Iron Man's probably like, roughly on average, the average Iron Man player is probably B tier. I'll be honest. A tier with an exceptional like S if left unattended. Like, if no one's, for whatever reason, just is not dealing with Iron Man, he's kind of like A tier. But, or S tier, sorry, if no one's dealing with Iron Man. But if you're a crazy good Iron Man who has like God tier situational awareness, I have seen Iron Man's dominate. I have. I really have seen Iron Man's pop off inside a lobby before. Until I had to put out the good old Hawkeye on him. Then Iron Man's just switch off. So, Iron Man's an iffy one for me. It's like, he shines for a bit and he's really good, and then you get the hit scan out and now he's bad again. He's just not good. So, so it's kind of like, I don't know. He's in a weird spot. Like, he has so much damage, and he thrives when he thrives, but it's just, Once you bring out like one of these characters, Hela or Hawkeye, he's no longer an issue, and immediately he's swapped off, right? Only stubborn people stay on Iron Man when they're getting diffed so hard. So he's in the weird boat. Um yeah, dude, that's hard. I'm gonna leave him in B tier, guys. I want to put him A, but I'm gonna leave him B. I'm gonna leave him B. S tier damage, B tier overall, because like I said, once he gets shut down, he gets shut down. It's just kind of hard to come back from that. Storm, in my opinion, A tier. I would say S tier, but she's not really like a duelist, even though she's in the duelist setting. The way my friend liked to explain her, he explained her as an off duelist. She does a lot for the team. So the whole time she's on the field, she's pretty much generating a damage boost for people within her radius, or a speed boost, right? Which is really great. So the damage boost she gives you is like 8% passively as long as you're with her, and that may not seem crazy, but you got to think about how the multiplier, like the headshot multiplier, works. So you are kind of like giving your team that extra advantage in the middle of a team fight, and then you can amplify their damage further to like 12%. So she's pretty good in that sense. Like when she shines, she shines. I was gonna say thrive, but when she shines, she shines. So it's kind of like A tier. A tier for me. Um, Thor. Thor is an interesting one. I want to say Thor is about B by himself. I'm gonna say B tier by himself. He's he's very easily dealt with. He kind of tries to get in people's faces a lot to melee them, or to generate his Thor force when he pops his shield, and it's just kind of like he gets shredded so fast by all these other DPS to the point where like Thors don't really get a chance to really kick ass right now. Um, if there's like two tanks going on, Thor can pop off, or with certain comps, but like by himself, he's not like an ideal. You won't really see a crazy amount of Thors. So he's kind of B tier. Wolverine, in my opinion, trash. Absolute trash. I don't die to Wolverines at all. Wolverine is a great tank shredder, yes, because his damage scales off of people's max HP. But outside of that, his damage falls off so fast, dramatically fast. And I think it's because of the fact he has that passive buff. So like against tanks, he's great, but against anything else, he's kind of not great. Kind of not as good. I have yet to be in a lobby in which I've had a Wolverine dominate me, if that makes sense. Like I'm always dealing with Wolverines pretty quickly. Um, so I want to say he's D tier, and that's just my opinion. If you think otherwise, let me know why down in the comment section below. I would gladly love to hear it. I've seen some people talk about Wolverine, but in my opinion, I think he's just trash, man. Like I've never had issues with Wolverine. I've never seen Wolverine pop off, be it on my team, be it on the enemy team. It's just he's always shut down. Always. He's never had a chance to properly shine, right? And if he's the one even cutting me up, it's not him that kills me. It's always someone else that kills me while he's just the one attacking me, right? And then someone else will just kill me. So it's like I've never had Wolverine do good at all. It's just I don't know, man. I don't want to shit on him because Wolverine's the GOAT, but he's not the GOAT in the game. Moving on. Panther left uncontested is crazy. This dude he's A tier. I wouldn't say S tier because he's a great flank. He's a good dive character. Someone who's just gonna go in and assassinate people and stuff like that. And he just zips around your screen like crazy, and it's really hard to deal with the Panther. Only thing about Panther though is his ultimate sucks. Boss is not good. So I was battling between A and S. I kind of want to put him in S tier though, just because again he's really strong, guys. Like I don't think you understand how strong Panther's kit is. His kit is pretty much like always off cooldown. So he can constantly keep zipping around, and he can pick people off. And if you're grouped up, it's even worse, right? If you're grouped up, it's worse because he's just tagging everyone, and he could just keep zipping through the whole crowd. And his kicks is insane. He does a lot of damage. So it's kind of like isolating and in group fights. A good Panther is about S tier. I gotta give him that. Um, Punisher definitely S tier. Punisher's crazy. His shotgun OP. It can one shot pretty much every single squishy in the game. There's not a single squishy in the game I don't think that can't get one shotted by his shotgun, especially if you can get lucky enough to get all of his pelts to hit their head. His shotgun's really OP. It's a good tank shredder too. He will dog on tanks that get too close to him. His hit scan is really good. His turret's really good, and his ultimate's obviously really good. So he's just S tier. Like Punisher deserves his spot in S. Penny, in my opinion, S tier. Um, she's really good at what she does. If you're looking for a tank to sit there and hold down point, dominant, force. Now you might say, well, that's only for defense, so shouldn't she be A tier? I am so sorry, I can't speak right now. In my opinion, I would say she would be A tier, but I have seen pennies play hyper aggressive and attack points, and then once they're attacking and pushing up and stuff like that, they can pop off. So it's kind of like if you know how to play penny and you know how to move around a map, she's kind of very hard to deal with, whether it be attacking or defending. She's even worse to fight if she's defending, but you can pop off with her in an attacking scenario. I don't expect every person to be like that, but she basically has like probably like the highest damage ceiling out of any tank, right? To where she's keeping up even with DPS. If not keeping up with them, surpassing them in some scenarios where she's killing some stuff. Like Penny's wrecking, okay? So she's S tier. Spidey, Spider-Man, I know we got a lot of S tier picks, and that's kind of crazy for like solo play, but this is pretty much like what you can expect if you see a lot of people playing solos. Spidey's really good. As you already know, there's a lot of bad Spider-Mans out there. Don't let it fool you. Just because there's bad Spideys don't mean there's crazy crack Spidey. Spidey within his full potential. If you know how to play him, you know how to get in, get out. He is a nuisance, a straight menace on the battlefield. And, you know, he got Jonah Jameson out here freaking just constantly going off the whole time. Like he is a menace. Right? Last character. This is just my humble biasness because I love her so much. Psylocke. Like for me, S tier. Again, she thrives within her circumstance of killing things, getting in, getting out, attacking multiple targets at once with her shurikens. Her swift strike is really good. Her invis is really nice, and her ultimate is really good too. This is my tier list video. Let me know what you guys think. If you disagree with any of the characters here on this list, let me know. To me, I think this is fair judgment. Thankfully, there's not a lot of bad characters inside this game from my high elo perspective. Again, this tier list isn't saying that all these characters are really bad and all these characters are crazy S tiers. It's, in my opinion, some of these characters may even shift positions based on their team ups, right? I think the S tier characters are great without a team up, with and without, right? But with their team ups and stuff like that, some of these characters may even get brought up. I will say that for a whole nother talk. But if you like this video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check me out on Twitch sometime. Watch me come play some Marvel Rivals, and we can go and wreck some lobbies together. I play on both PC and Xbox currently. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you for this long-winded video. My voice is gone. I am sorry again, the way I sound and how much I tripped. Catch you in